The search for the child's identity took researchers an estimated 3,000 hours. Tracking the identity of anyone is challenging, but discovering the identity of an infant child in a 140-year-old lost casket particularly difficult. According to the LA Times, Davy and her team of 3 spent an estimated 3,000 hours conducting research and driving the efforts to illuminate who Miranda Eve was and why she was in the Karner's backyard. They began by finding a map of Oddfellows Cemetery and comparing it with records of the neighborhood built where it used to stand. Next, the team used the internet to locate open records of births and deaths, and they were ultimately able to trace Edith H. Cook's family tree. Graves were moved from San Francisco to Colma to free up space for housing. Hundreds of thousands of graves were moved from San Francisco to Colma in the 1930s because city developers saw housing potential on those plots of land. According to researchers, all the work was performed manually, as excavating technology did not yet exist. As a result, some bodies were simply missed. The former graves are now permanently stationed in the Green Lawn Cemetery of Colma. According to Garden of Innocence, at least 3 more unidentified bodies have been uncovered in what was the Oddfellows Cemetery. These discoveries came after Edith's exhumation and identification in 2016. Edith Cook's body and clothes were preserved in the airtight casket. According to those who spearheaded the Edith Cook investigation, the 140-year-old body was unaffected from the elements. When researchers opened the coffin, they could easily discern the lavender placed in Edith's blonde hair as well as her white christening dress. She had been extraordinarily well preserved due to the airtight casket. Funerary boxes made of glass and cast iron were popular in the 1800s among wealthy families. The little window on top, used for viewings, is unusual by modern standards. However, at the time of Edith's passing, such decor was common. The Karner family's backyard used to be a cemetery. In trying to figure out how little Edith Cook ended up in the backyard of the Karner family's Richmond district residence, Davy discovered that the San Francisco neighborhood used to be a cemetery. People were buried in the Oddfellows Cemetery between 1865 and 1902 and later transferred to Colma, California, during the 1930s. Edith was accidentally left behind in her family's plot during the massive relocation. Edith has one living relative. After discovering Edith's identity, Davy teamed up with Jelmer Eerkins, an anthropologist at the University of California. The two tracked down Edith Cook's grand-nephew, Peter Cook, via genealogical records. He is her only known living relative. Peter had never heard of Edith, so they swabbed his saliva to guarantee it was a match. Miraculously, they confirmed that Edith Cook was Peter's great-aunt. This discovery came as a surprise to Peter, whose father passed when he was only 3 years old. A result, he didn't know much about that side of his family. Researchers discovered the girl's identity using DNA. In 2016, John and Ericka Karner hired construction workers to remodel their lone mountain home in San Francisco, and the workers unknowingly excavated a tiny coffin. The Karners contacted the Office of Public Administration, who turned to genealogist Elissa Davy. Davy operates the nonprofit Garden of Innocence, a project which aims to bury unidentified children. Davy and her team used preserved strands of the unknown girl's hair to perform a DNA test and determine her identity. They discovered that the deceased child is Edith Howard Cook, the daughter of Horatio Nelson and Edith Spoofy Cook. Edith passed on October 13, 1876, at 2 years, 10 months, and 15 days old. Davy compared old plot maps of Oddfellow Cemetery from the 1800s with current scaled street maps to determine which plot the coffin belonged to. She found evidence of the Cook family plot, where Edith's mother and father were laid to rest.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.